Good afternoon, this is Fiona DL here with the Wonder of Women interview series. As you know, I'm Fiona and I am a holistic therapist and I'm a sustainable lifestyle consultant with NU UK as well. And I set up a networking group called Women Together in lockdown to help bring business women together from all over Central Scotland and beyond. And I'm joined today with the lovely Annabelle from Annabelle Coaching. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Fiona. Hi,
How are you
everybody.
today?
Good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you, really well. So lovely to have you along. And the sun is not out at the moment, but it has been today with me. Have you had nice weather with you as well?
Lovely. Yeah, really nice.
Superb, excellent. It's great, isn't it? This spring and spring weather, it's so nice. It just makes you feel alive, I feel. So, Anna, tell us a bit about Annabelle and Annabelle Coaching and what that you do in your business.
I started my business in 2015 when I decided finally to leave the corporate world. I had a job in change management, and it was the part that always fascinated me was how people respond to changes, either ones that they decide on themselves, like a goal or something they want to make happen, or often in that case, it was organizational changes and how people respond and adapt. And when, at what stage they do that, what influences them, and all the different things that make people tick. And I think it was around about 2011 I discovered NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, which is really all about how we think and how that shapes our experiences through our beliefs and language and behaviour and choices that we make. And the more I learned about that, and I had some coaching in that as well, the more I wanted to learn it for myself to support other people with it. And there was a pivotal moment earlier in that summer. I left in October 2015, and there was a moment in the summer I was sitting at my desk, and I can still remember it. The windows were high up, and I looked up and I thought, oh, I've already decided to leave. And it was like the penny dropped, and I went, oh, I'm going to have to do it now. It was a bit scary.
Fantastic, that's great. Love that.
It was a leap of faith that paid off. It was really my plan B, because of what had happened in life up to that point. And my plan B became my plan A when I decided I was going to allow myself to make a go of it. So off I went, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. So you said there that that was a pivotal moment, but what were the pivotal moments when you felt most connected with the work that you do now?
The thing I would say that has been most significant that convinced me to make a big change like that was seeing people light up with something, from maybe going from, say, a bit of doubt or limiting beliefs, a bit unsure about what they wanted to do, or for example, I'd supported people who were going to make a presentation or lead a change project that didn't have a lot of confidence at the beginning, and noticing that what I was asking them and saying to them was making a difference. And especially, two people came to me in the 1 week, and it was a couple of years on from when I'd supported them, and I'd not forgotten, but it was just me doing my job. And they said, you know, what you said and did, the way you supported me made a big difference, and now I'm doing X, Y, Z. And they'd gone on to do other things. And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm going to pay attention to this. And I noticed I had a pattern of going further than I thought I would. So then I decided I would do something more about it. So moments like that where people light up and they go, oh, I can actually do this. I can choose to do it, and I can believe in myself and move forward. It's so rewarding to see.
Yeah, and I find your attitude to life just so enlightening and inspiring, I have to say. And I know that that's come from things in your past that haven't really, gone according to plan, as you would say. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So it was 1997 was probably the most significant moment when I was about to get married, and 3 days before the wedding, my husband hadn't been well anyway, my husband Alan. But long story short, he was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, with a pretty uncertain future, but we knew it would be a deteriorating one. We were told not to travel on our honeymoon in case he woke up blind or unable to walk, because they might never get that back if it happened in the heat. So we had all sorts of things to think about all at once, but in a way we were actually relieved, because we thought it might be a brain tumour, because he'd had some loss of sight and had pains and things. And it was a weird thing, being slightly relieved that it was something else, but then it was, well, a case of what now? But it taught us a lot in the days and weeks that followed, especially because we would never consider delaying or putting off the wedding.
No.
Both said we're going for it. And in fact, I found some photos the other day and I looked at both of our faces and I thought, do you know, you'd never know that these two young people, and I was young, I was 23. You never know that they just had devastating news, and you wouldn't know it from our families either. I remember at one point we actually had 2 nights of the wedding. It was a Friday sort of quieter family affair and then a big party on the Saturday. And on the Friday, my dad was dancing about with one of the aunties or something, and he went flying past my head, and I thought, do you know what? I think we're going to be okay here. I think they are too. So, you know, it's funny, it's often a single moment where you see somebody showing what they can do, even when times are pretty tough, that then you kind of choose, like, this is how I'm going to show up, and that stayed with me, and I kind of call on that when I need it. Because there are times now, Alan's a lot worse now. He's very stooped. He's got worse during lockdown, and he's been diagnosed with arthritis as well now, and he uses a wheelchair or a mobility scooter a lot of the time. And we choose to make memories. We choose to have a laugh, sometimes about things that might not share with other people, but a bit of,
but they're your laugh.
That's something that we can, you know, get rid of any tension that comes up with things like that. And it helps me in my work as well, because the perspective is, you know, thinking about the life we want to lead, uniquely what that means to each of us. And I encourage other people to choose that for themselves too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your story is amazing, and you know, you're inspiring, and you do inspire me with your outlook on how you have dealt with everything, and you know, continue to inspire others as you go along. So, what have you learned about yourself and what you're capable of since you started your business?
Well, it was quite an adjustment at first. So I realised very quickly that I was going to become the IT department and the marketing department and everything else. And I learned how much I thrive being around people. So it was quite a change, even though it was everything about it was what I wanted. I missed the hundreds of people that I knew. It was Standard Life I worked in, and there was hundreds of people I saw every day that I knew. And so I've learned that social connection is really important for me too. So things like the group that you run and the way that people support each other in it, that's really important. That's significant for me in you know, each week, and getting involved with and encouraging each other. And I've also, as I said earlier, I've also realized that there's often, I'll do something and then I'll take it a step further. Like I did my NLP practitioner qualification, and within 4 months I'd started the next level, master practitioner. And I have this habit of going, oh gosh, I never thought I would have done something like that. So now I pay attention to that and think about the next step and decide whether I want to make it, rather than finding it a surprise later on.
I think I understand that, because, you know, as you know, I'm interested in NLP, and I've dabbled with it in the past through work and things. And then I've been coming to your NLP group, and here I am doing the introduction. And now I'm thinking, what will I do now? Maybe I should do, and actually, you know, so I resonate with that, and also the energy from people thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's and I've missed that a lot in lockdown. I guess that's what brought me to start up the group, was to get that, because there are so many people in the same situation, isn't there?
Definitely.
So, what specifically then would you say has most helped you develop personally and professionally to get to where you are today?
Overall, a mix of personal learning that goes with experiences that come along in life, and choosing to steer into them, in terms of, I've had coaching, I've been for counselling in the past as well, at times when it's felt important to do so. And for me, it's an attitude of lifelong learning, and going with the professional aspects of that, because it applies to the work I do. And it doesn't feel like hard work to me. And I don't strive to get onto the next thing. It's very much about being present, actually, and opportunities pop up, like conferences online that you wouldn't otherwise have had. That's been great in lockdown. Or a course will pop up and I'll go, right, that's the next thing for me. I've learned Reiki since doing NLP, learned clean language. And I just love that, soaking up the learning and applying it to myself. And that feels balanced to me, because it's not that I'm going to be, you know, the teacher and I pass on what I know to everybody else. It's very much about doing the work myself, and with some amusement and curiosity, going, no, okay, I'm noticing a pattern that's maybe not so helpful. Because that, I think that's a really important philosophy in the work I do. We're all human, and we're thankfully, what a relief, we're imperfect, and we don't, you know, I've let go of perfection. Actually, that's been a huge thing. And more recently as well, I've loved working with Carolyn, who's recently joined the group. In the NLP work, we do that together now, and that was an absolute blessing as a result of lockdown. We just started to do a couple of days at a time, rolling program to include people who are looking for some development, and we've absolutely loved it. I don't know how that would have been this past year without doing that with her. It's been brilliant.
You're a great team, I have to say.
Oh, I just love working with it, and we learn when we chat offline when we're planning the events and things, and we spot things, we laugh about things, we sometimes challenge each other in a really encouraging way, and that has helped my learning.
I love how you work like together but differently as well. And it is really good. And Carolyn's got a real impish streak as well. I mean, I know you do, but she does too, and it just really makes me laugh a lot. So what's a common theme then? So when you obviously get clients coming to you for sort of all sorts of things, coaching, writing, help with different things, blocks that they have. What's a common theme then that would come up with clients? And what sort of common theme do you have? And is there any tips that you have for people with that?
Yeah, so something that will happen often for any of us really, and it helps to learn how to spot it and address it, is if there's a limiting belief or a doubt that comes up. Often actually people will point to, like, I've got a wee voice that chips away there, and I'll go, yeah, okay, I hear you. The doubt that comes in, like, oh, you can never do that, or you're not ready, or a couple of people have said,
Mildred, I have her.
Oh, you just got a name. I drew a picture of mine once, actually. It's like a wee...
I just recently gave her a name.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good name, isn't it? So that wee doubt that comes, or it might be a feeling, or it might be, noticing something that gets in the way in the moment. There's an NLP term which we describe as congruence, when your thoughts, beliefs, behavior, even your posture are aligned. You know, when somebody's really in the zone, that's a congruent state, and they're being, open and true to themselves, and just kind of in flow, and learning to pay attention when something comes up, but be curious about it. Notice with curiosity and amusement, if you can manage, if you muster that at the time to be amused, like I just did there about, oh yeah, Anna, that might be a pattern, to have a little laugh and fun with it, to then say, what could I learn here? Again, something from NLP is one of the beliefs or presuppositions is to say to yourself, there is no failure, only feedback, or there is no failure, only learning. So even when things go monumentally wrong, you can still say, what can I learn from this? And that's feedback. So I won't repeat that. I'll try something different next time. And it's just so much better for peace of mind to be able to attend to what comes up with curiosity.
Absolutely. And it is really interesting, because I have really started to look at some things that I do now and think, okay, you do that. And I think it's been a lot more since I started, learning more about NLP, that I've started to think about, okay, yeah, that is true. Move on. Let's deal with that. So, yeah, I mean, they're great. And that's really, I mean, I find it fascinating, NLP. I really do. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about it. And you have also written a book.
I have. Yes.
Can you tell us about that book?
So the book is called Roots for Growth, and it's a metaphor. What it's really pointing to is, I was just thinking, I'm not sure I have a copy beside me.
I have one.
You're all prepared. And the metaphor about roots is looking under the surface to find that you have what you need already. And so the themes are resilience, and what I would call mindful living, which is mindfulness and explaining what that is and what meditation is, and also ways of living mindfully that are accessible, that help to notice, the good, the positive things in life, as well as paying attention when things are challenging. And the third theme is growing through change. So when changes come along, and my goodness, one came along while I was writing it. There was meant to be 3 sections of the book, and there ended up being 4. The 4th one is an unexpected chapter, which is about the pandemic. And I wrote about the things that I'd actually written blogs about for some time. I realised I got to about 50 blogs, and I went, hang on, maybe there's something that I could actually put into a book here. And I ended up including a few of the blogs because they said what I wanted to say about the topic. And it's a combination of personal stories and some, not quite theory, but tips and reflections on things I've learned, which I believe can help other people. And the feedback so far has been that it has helped people, and that they've had different responses, like laughing or crying, or going back to a question and saying that there's something about that question that I want to answer for myself. But probably my favourite is my mum and dad's friend, who's in her late 60s, and there's a bit about playfulness and puddle jumping. And she said, after that story, she says, the next time I see a puddle, I'm going to go and jump in it.
You should say that, but I did that too.
Did you?
Because it was during, when I read your book, it was really rainy, and I was still going out walking every day.
Yeah.
And I just found myself jumping in a puddle. And, I think that there was a woman coming towards me, and I didn't realise that she was there. And she just looked at me, and I just laughed and walked on. Because what else do you do? But it was really, but yeah, that made me, for me, personal stories bring something to a book that really resonate with me. I love that fact of any book that I read, when, if it's a factual book of some sort and not a novel, I love to get a bit of personal perspective. And I know that I use that myself when I'm doing any sort of sessions with people. I like to, talk about personal situations, because I really think it helps people, and, to, I guess, put things into perspective.
Yeah, and it tends to connect people with something like that for them, or a version of that story that they say, oh, I've remembered something about myself and how I've come through a challenge, or how I changed my way of thinking about something. A story can do that because you get that emotional response to it.
Absolutely. And, and your stories in your book, and I'm not going to talk about them all because I don't want to spoil it for other people, because it's available on Amazon. However, it's just really, it makes it personal, and it's really, really lovely. And I think it's also nice when you know somebody, albeit we've never actually met in person.
Oh, no, I forget that sometimes.
And, so it's nice to get that extra bit on it. So how does it feel now that it's launched and out there?
Well, with the moment when you launch it and people start to buy it, like I didn't know what the feedback would be, but I felt good about what I'd written, because it's expressing myself, the truth of my experiences. And sorry, that's my dog going downstairs. It's expressing myself, and creativity is really important, and it's a part of the work I do with clients as well. Sorry, I don't know what's going on, because my daughter just come in from school. And so that feeling of putting it out into the world and beginning to hear what difference it makes to people, it's that was the most important, that it does actually have an impact for people. I keep saying people, but that's where my attention is on readers, that they get something out of it. So now it feels great to have launched it, and more plans in the pipeline for another couple of books.
I was thinking that, because I always think, it's a bit like when you're on a roller coaster, you're terrified the whole time you're on it, and you get off, you go, I want to go back on.
Yeah, because once you've got that kind of flow or rush going, or whatever it is, in this case it feels like being in the flow of it, and I've started to jot down ideas for future ones as well. Yeah,
that's really
exciting. Part of what I do now, I would say.
Yeah, so you say I'm a writer.
Yeah, I giggled a bit when I first tried that on, but yes.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? It's a bit like, my mum has worked in accounts all her life, and then when she retired, she became an artist. And all of a sudden she would say, well, I'm an artist. And I think, it felt strange to her as well to say that.
Yeah.
So What advice would you give to someone, Anna, who is thinking about writing a book or even a blog and hasn't done it yet?
I would say from experience, write it for yourself. Express it the way you want to say things. You can always edit later, but I find it works best if you write in what I would call free flow, where you just begin to write and you get what you want to say down on the page. Ideally, especially if you're just beginning writing, I would say handwrite, and it's good to get into the way of writing, typing it on a laptop or computer as well. And then you can go back and edit. Then you can decide what you want to share, if you want to share it. That was how I launched my first blog, and it was honestly pivotal to launching my own business because I wrote it for therapeutic reasons, really. I felt very emotional and just started letting the words flow onto the page. And then there was a moment, I describe it as being like one eye shut with the key going, will I put it on social media? And I did, and the response was incredible. But it doesn't have to be a huge blog. The main thing is just do something, write something and put it out. And it's, to me, it's the easiest way to get into the flow. And then you do another one.
I love blogging, and I don't do it regularly. I do it now and again, just when the mood takes me. And that's the great thing about a blog, isn't it? You just, whenever you think, actually, I've got something to say on this.
Yeah, and it becomes easier to write on demand, in that you notice where your inspiration comes from or what your process is. I've noticed how I've asked or read about how other people do get started with things like that. So it becomes something that you can adapt and use, so you can use your writing in different ways as well. Journaling's useful for anyone who wants to blog, because the journaling is just for you, and then bringing topics from that maybe that have come up. I think it can add substance to a blog if you've journaled before it.
Super. And you run all sorts of different courses and all sorts of things, don't you, from your business? So tell me a little bit about the courses that you run.
Yeah, so the next ones that are coming up are NLP based, which are kind of 3-in-1 was how Carolyn described it. I thought that was a useful way to describe it. It's 2 days of an introduction, or there's a 6-day diploma, or it can be 10 days of a practitioner qualification, and each one can top up the one before. So anyone that wants to dip their toe in could start with the 2 days and then pay the offset the fee for the next level up, or they can enroll on the whole thing right away. I would say my experience was it was a significant personal transformation to dive in and go for the whole thing, and also 2 days can really add a lot in terms of learning about language patterns and beliefs, and feedback is something that we're going to be covering soon. So those are NLP opportunities, and there's a 90-minute workshop on the 6th of April, which is really a taster of NLP. It's a very accessible way to find out what it's all about and have an experience of using the techniques. I think because it's quite a complex terminology, it's actually a way of being in the world that can bring about more awareness and choice, and it's as simple as that. And you mentioned creativity as well. I have done writing workshops and I've done a creativity workshop in the past, so they will likely pop up in the next 2 or 3 months. And I've got a day retreat in May as well, which is very much a well-being focused day away from everything. Unfortunately, I can't do it in person quite by then, but I do have one planned. So there's always something on my event page if people want to take a look.
And so where do people find your event page then? Do they find that on your website?
Yes, so my website is www.annabellecoaching.com, and you can also find information about the book there, and the blogs that I've written in the past as well. So,
well, that sounds fantastic. And Anna, it's been so lovely getting to hear a little bit more about your business today, and I know that other people will love to listen to that too. It's been an absolute pleasure having a chat with you this afternoon.
Thanks for me, Fiona.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to the day that we can actually meet. That will just be really, really great. A monumental day, I think, because I feel that I know you already.
Yes.
Super. Thank you, Anna. Take care.
Thanks, Fiona. Bye.